Elon Musk and Donald Trump just smashed the cryptocurrency market. Holy smoky, sitting is no joke. Hi there, lovely individuals. Everyone was taken aback by the European Central Bank and Shalom moneymakers. I was to my wife's cousin's wedding, so you can see that I'm dressed a little nicer than normal. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on when I was at the wedding? And the way this is impacting the cryptocurrency market is just one crazy story, one crazy day. We'll discuss the reasons for the market's decline. There was a precise timeline that was going on, and I'm going to do it. Since we didn't have a middle video today, I was sort of developing the movie as I was here, and it just kept taking shape and growing larger, stranger, and more bizarre. We will discuss all of it. Please just give me a lovely smile. Even though we're down today, it's okay, good vibe. Smish your tea, hit the like button, because you know that likes have an impact on the price of XRP. The more likes, the better. Of course, there is no correlation between the two, but let's get started. At the moment, XRP is down $2.77 or 2.7% on the day, while Ethereum is down 7%. I'm having trouble with my voice. I am aware of the differences between weddings in the US and the UK, but in this case, it begins as a traditional ceremony, followed by a big party in a nightclub, particularly if it is a Thursday night and her cousin is somewhat young. They had one DJ because she lived in Tel Aviv, and then another DJ arrived from France. I have no idea what was happening there. My voice is not performing well, and it was very loud. Therefore, it is not the price activity that is causing my voice to break. As you can see, Bitcoin managed to recover 1.7, 0.67 Ethereum after nearly reaching the 100,000 mark. Sold down 5%, Sugi down nearly 7%, and got a significant fall, down negative 7%. Although the stock market did pull back, it wasn't that severe. As a result, the cryptocurrency market took a significant knock. It was fascinating. Much like cryptocurrency, I wouldn't describe cryptocurrency and high risk as such, but assets that had experienced significant growth abruptly began to decline by 6%, 7%, or even more, and thus Tesla had a 15% decline in Ghazi. We will discuss why that occurred. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are to blame. However, it was intriguing since the European Central Bank slashed interest rates for the 7th time that day, lowering them by 25 basis points to 2%. As a result, European interest rates are at their lowest point since the beginning of 2023, and nothing from the Fed in the US, correct? Additionally, it was intriguing because the number of unemployment claims was slightly greater than anticipated. This indicates that there were more unemployment claims. This indicates that the Fed is more likely to lower interest rates. But yeah, incredibly white if we look at the odds. It didn't really change when we looked at the stocks. I considered changing to my classic black shirt, but my wife and I had just arrived home and it was around 2:30 a.m. and I didn't want to disturb her. She had already fallen asleep. Then I noticed that this was really white, but we'll let her sleep, you know. I do not wish to disturb her. As a result, your eyes will have to cope with this circumstance. When the employment reports finally arrived, it was intriguing since as I was seated in front of the computer, the market did really rise. When did the job reports arrive, which led rising job reports, began to come in at this very moment, and both Bitcoin and XRP began to rise. Then all of a sudden, right, we witnessed the market plummeting off a precipice. Then came the news that President Trump spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping over the phone about trade. I now think that many will claim that Elon Musk and Donald Trump's feud caused the markets to plummet. I have a somewhat different hypothesis. Indeed, it was due to it as well as the fact that this was made public, but Trump did not provide us with any information regarding the topics that were addressed. I believe he would have said anything if the conversation produced anything positive, correct? Since he normally celebrates quickly, even someone mentioned something there, correct? However, no one spoke, nothing, no tweet. It was a few minutes after that was released, correct? Then all of a sudden, sell off. Then it continued to get more intense. And they were fighting at the time of this, correct? However, there were numerous rolling liquidations taking place. Furthermore, the stock market wasn't suffering all that much. Leverage of about $1 billion, 0 cents was liquidated, leveraged, and primarily on the long 827. Thus, people were leveraged up here primarily with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also with XRP, which is 21 million, nearly 22 million. Bitcoin 300 million and Ethereum 232 million. Ethereum is therefore practically on par with Bitcoin. It hurts a lot because of this, 7%, because Ethereum has risen so much in recent weeks. You know, this is something that occasionally occurs when things get leveraged up. People were a little bit of a long squeeze down here because they were leveraged. I'm still worried about this 93,000 level, so it will be fascinating to watch now, right, if you've been monitoring the channel consistently. And with this reversal, it's possible that we'll see that level once more. However, Bitcoin is oversold if you look at the daily chart. We still have this gap, but we are also oversold, and the market is a little spooked out, I believe, too much today. We shall see. I will never advise you to buy the seller to hold because of this. Not financial advice, of course. Do your research before making daily investment decisions. I have no idea what will occur. Was I aware that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would begin a feud? Correct. No, let me say this. I'll reiterate. It will be given by Donald and taken away by Donald. Correct. Therefore, given the circumstances, we must use extreme caution. I'm being cautious, like I mentioned, and I'm aware that many of you are commenting in the space provided that your terrible jokes are the main reason I returned to your channel, Harvey. When someone said chocolate, it took me a while to realize what they were referring to. And then I asked my wife if I looked like chocolate or not. I'm not sure. However, I then recalled that I occasionally advise eating chocolate if you're feeling anxious. Therefore, I believe that he or she was referring to that. However, they also give you a level of opinion, don't they? Neither viewpoint is too severe for me, and neither is the other. Sometimes I give you chocolate, sometimes I give you honey, sometimes I give you onions, and sometimes I attempt to offer you the good, the bad, and the ugly, correct? Therefore, it will be fascinating to watch what transpires here on Freaky Friday. Correct. Yes, the middle of the circle. We discussed whether or not Ripple has a buying circle. Yes, no. They went public. In fact, it increased substantial sum. It returned, and I believe it ended around 70. So it was a very successful IPO for them, and we'll see how that turns out. Ripple, however, does not believe that it is off the table. That's how the whole dispute began, isn't it? Donald Trump stepped out and began to say, I'm very disappointed with Elon. I'm not sure whether you've watched other people's recordings, greatly aided him. He was the only one who understood the bill's inner workings, had no issue with it. Suddenly he started having issues, which he only became aware of when he learned that we were reducing the AV mandate. And it looks like this is what caused everything to go awry, doesn't it? False, however, Elon claimed. I never ever saw the measure, and it was approved so quickly in the middle of the night that hardly anyone in Congress had time to study it. It's time to drop a really big you-know-what mark. The emails contain Trump, correct? I'm not sure how YouTube will respond if I use this word, thus we will not say it. That's the true reason they haven't been released to the public, correct? And because some were assuming this was a scam, he stated that it was true. Save this post to your bookmarks. The truth will be revealed. Well, fascinating. The second half of this year will see a recession due to Trump's tariffs. The memes were insane and people were tweeting nonstop. Actually, I neglected to send myself some of the memes, but there were so many that it seemed like the world was watching the world as the wealthiest and most powerful men in the world engage in a Twitter feud. And there was one with North Korean President Kim Jong-un and Presidents Putin and Xi of China. Like, they're all talking and they're all giddy. However, what is America doing to itself? It doesn't look good. However, and this occurred. Elon declared that he was terminating his contracts with the government. A statement about terminating my government contracts is included. SpaceX will immediately start dismantling its Dragon spacecraft, which is designed to transport cargo to the space station. That being said, I have no idea what will occur in this situation. Pay attention. In the midst of all of that, James Wynn, our friend Whale, whom we have been following for the past 2 weeks, shuts positions. I don't believe he was liquidated. He still has about 700,000 in his account, I believe. Therefore, he closed his positions but did not remove it. It was approximately 8:00 p.m. my time. That was a couple of hours ago. Indeed, he suffered a significant loss as a result of all this. At 103 and 440, he closed it. Since Bitcoin